Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're unpacking something really foundational, something that, well, it impacts literally every single part of your mental, emotional, and physical performance. We're talking about sleep, and specifically why it's this often overlooked secret sauce for, just feeling good and performing well.
Absolutely. The quality of your sleep, it really does affect everything you do and, who you are at your core.
It's a huge point because, let's face it, in our world, this super fast-paced life, millions of us are just chronically sleep deprived.
It's true. And the consequences are, well, they're pretty dire, frankly. We're talking about things like a weaker immune system, higher risks for really serious stuff like diabetes, cancer, obesity, depression, memory loss, even faster aging.
Wow, faster aging too.
Yeah, and there was this study, I think, in the Canadian Medical Association Journal that even found getting less than 6 hours of sleep makes it harder for you to lose weight.
And it's not just the long game, is it? I heard somewhere that just one bad night can mess things up immediately.
That's exactly right. Just a single night of poor sleep can make your body as insulin resistant as someone with type 2 diabetes. It's that fast, that profound an impact on your basic functions.
Okay, so if sleep is this powerful, why are so many of us, missing out? What are we doing wrong?
Well, that's what we're diving into today.
Right. Our mission today is a deep dive into Shawn Stevenson's brilliant book, Sleep Smarter, 21 proven tips to sleep your way to a better body, better health, bigger success.
Fantastic book. Really practical stuff in there.
Totally. So we're going to explore the real value of sleep and, importantly, give you practical strategies you can actually start using tonight to really unlock its power.
Yeah, the goal is you'll get insights not just into what sleep deprivation is doing to you, but really what you can do about it, how you can take control.
Let's start with the basics then. Understanding the value of sleep. It's not just zoning out, is it?
Not at all. It's often described as an elevated anabolic state. So think about it like this. When you're awake, your body is mostly in a catabolic state, breaking down, using energy. Sleep flips that. It puts you into an anabolic state. That means your body is actively rebuilding, repairing. Every cell, every hormone, your immune system, it's all being meticulously optimized while you sleep. It's like nightly maintenance, but way more complex.
Like a biological tune-up every night. So if we actually prioritize sleep, what are the biggest benefits we'd see?
Well, your immune system gets stronger, your hormones balance out, which is huge, your metabolism gets a boost, you have more physical energy, and your brain function improves dramatically. The sources are really clear on this. Without quality sleep, you, quote, will never have the body and life you want.
That's a strong statement. And yet there's this cultural pressure, isn't there? This idea that success means grinding harder, sleeping less, sleep when you're dead, right?
Right. It's this pervasive, almost macho idea. But it's a fundamental misunderstanding of how our bodies and brains actually work. Hard work matters, of course, but working smart is just as critical. And smart work requires rest.
So what happens to our brain when we skip sleep?
It's pretty dramatic. Research shows after just 24 hours without sleep, there's about a 6% reduction in glucose that's brain fuel reaching your brain overall.
Only 6%? That doesn't sound huge.
But where that reduction happens is key. It's specifically a 12-14% loss in the parietal lobe and the prefrontal cortex. These are the areas crucial for clear thinking, good decision-making, impulse control, even social interactions.
Okay, 14% loss of fuel to your decision-making center. That's significant.
Exactly. This brain drain literally makes you, less sharp. It impairs thinking ability, leads to poor choices, and here's the kicker. It triggers intense cravings for sugary, starchy foods. It's a built-in survival thing, your brain's screaming for quick energy.
So that explains the late-night cookie monster effect. It's not just weak willpower, it's biology. That changes things, doesn't it? And this impacts work quality, too, not just how long we sit at a desk.
Precisely. There was a study in The Lancet, a major medical journal, that found sleep-deprived people took 14% longer to finish tasks and made 20% more errors.
Wow, 20% more mistakes.
Yeah, so you're not actually gaining time by skipping sleep. You're sacrificing the quality and effectiveness of whatever you're doing. It's a really bad trade-off.
Okay, point taken. Sleep is not the enemy. It's not an obstacle. It's actually a requirement for boosting hormones, healing everything, optimizing your mind.
It's a performance enhancer, fundamentally.
So the actionable takeaway here is pretty simple. Plan your sleep. Actually schedule it. Put it in your calendar like you would at an important meeting.
Exactly. Treat it with that level of importance. Now, shifting gears a bit, let's talk about light. It's incredibly powerful, both sunlight and the artificial kind from our screens.
Right, the circadian rhythm stuff?
Exactly. Your body has this built-in 24-hour clock, your circadian timing system. It's mainly regulated by a part of your brain called the hypothalamus. And light is the primary signal it uses to figure out if it's time to be alert or time to wind down.
So getting sunlight in the morning is key for setting that clock.
Absolutely vital. Getting some natural sunlight early in the morning, ideally between about 6 a.m. and 8:30 a.m., triggers the optimal release of daytime hormones like cortisol and basically synchronizes your internal clock for the whole day.
And if you don't get enough daytime light or get too much light at night,
that throws the whole system off. It directly impacts your ability to produce melatonin later and fall asleep easily.
Melatonin, right, the good sleep hormone.
Yeah, exactly. Your body naturally starts secreting melatonin as it gets darker outside, signaling that it's time for sleep. But its production is super sensitive to light exposure.
I remember reading about a study on office workers.
Yes, that was fascinating. It found that workers in offices without windows got something like 173% less natural light exposure during the day.
Wow.
And the result, they slept an average of 46 minutes less per night compared to colleagues who had windows. They also reported more physical problems and lower vitality, just from lack of natural light.
That's a huge difference from just having a window. So, okay, actionable advice for sunlight.
Try to get at least 30 minutes of direct outdoor sunlight exposure in the morning, ideally in that 6 to 8:30 a.m. window.
Yeah.
Even if it's cloudy, the intensity of natural light is still beneficial.
Use your coffee break to step outside, maybe.
Perfect. Or walk part of the way to work if you can. Light boxes can be a last resort if getting outside is truly impossible, but natural sunlight is always the best option.
Okay, now the flip side. Screens before bed. I feel like this is the big one for a lot of people. Maybe the single biggest change you can make for better sleep tonight.
I completely agree. It's incredibly impactful. That artificial blue light emitted by computers, tablets, TVs, smartphones, it basically tells your brain it's still daytime. It triggers cortisol release and messes up your body's natural preparation for sleep.
And it directly suppresses melatonin, right?
It does. There's a study by Mariana Figueroa that showed just 2 hours of using an iPad at maximum brightness was enough to significantly suppress the normal nighttime release of melatonin.
2 hours. Most people probably do more than that.
Easily. And think about it. This kind of intense close-up blue light exposure is so recent in human history. Our biology just hasn't adapted. It can lead to chronic disruption of our circadian rhythm, which is linked to all sorts of health issues down the line.
So the actionable screen tips here are absolutely crucial.
Rule number 1, turn off all screens at least 90 minutes before your intended bedtime. Make it non-negotiable.
90 minutes. Okay. What do you do instead?
Read a physical book, not on a backlit device. Listen to a podcast or an audiobook. Talk to your partner or family. Meditate. Anything that doesn't involve staring at a bright screen.
And what about those blue light filter apps?
They can help a bit, things like F.Lux or night shift mode. They reduce the blue light intensity. But honestly, they're a Band-Aid. The best solution by far is just putting the devices away completely. Give your brain the signal it needs to wind down.
Okay, makes sense. Now, speaking of daily habits, let's talk caffeine. That morning coffee or afternoon pick-me-up. It feels essential, but it can be a bit of a, stealthy saboteur for sleep.
That's a good way to put it. Caffeine is a powerful stimulant for your nervous system. And if your nervous system is, as the book says, lit up like a Christmas tree, high-quality sleep just isn't going to happen.
And it lasts longer than we think, right?
Much longer. That study in the Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine was eye-opening. It found that caffeine consumed even 6 hours before bedtime caused an objective loss of 1 full hour of sleep, measured by sleep monitors.
An hour? But did the people notice?
That's the crazy part. Subjectively, the participants often didn't feel like they'd lost sleep. So you're getting objectively worse sleep, which impacts your health and performance the next day without even realizing it.
And that can lead to needing more caffeine the next day. A vicious cycle.
Exactly. So how does it work? Well, your brain naturally produces a neurotransmitter called adenosine throughout the day. Adenosine buildup is what makes you feel sleepy. Caffeine happens to have a very similar molecular structure to adenosine.
So it fits into the same parking spot?
Precisely. It binds to the adenosine receptors in your brain, essentially blocking adenosine from delivering its time to sleep message. And because caffeine has a half-life of about 5 to 8 hours.
Half-life meaning half of it is still active after that time.
Correct. So that 2 p.m. coffee can easily still have a significant amount of caffeine circulating in your system when you're trying to fall asleep at 10 or 11 p.m.
Okay, so the rule is an unbreakable caffeine curfew. What time?
Generally, before 2 p.m. is a good guideline for most people. If you know you're particularly sensitive, you might need to make it even earlier, like noon.
And what about maximizing the benefit if you use caffeine?
The book suggests cycling it. Maybe 2 days on, 3 days off. Or even longer cycles, like 2 months on, 1 month off. This helps prevent building up a tolerance and keeps it effective as an occasional boost rather than something you rely on just to function.
Good tip. Okay, moving from stimulants to environment. Temperature. I know when I'm too hot, sleeping is impossible.
Yeah, thermoregulation, your body's ability to control its temperature, is deeply linked to your sleep cycles. In fact, your body naturally needs to drop its core temperature slightly to initiate sleep.
So a warm room fights against that natural process.
Exactly. It makes it physiologically harder for your body to get into that restful state. Studies consistently show the ideal room temperature for sleep is actually quite cool, somewhere between 60 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit, or about 15 to 20 Celsius.
That sounds pretty chilly.
It might feel that way initially, but it supports the body's natural sleep process. Interestingly, people with insomnia often have a slightly warmer core body temperature right before bed, which suggests a state of heightened arousal that prevents sleep onset.
You mentioned the hypothalamus controlling temperature. That links back to the stress response too, doesn't it? Is there a connection there?
There absolutely is. The hypothalamus is like the master control center, linking your nervous system and your endocrine hormone system. It controls temperature, sleep, and it's a key part of the HPA axis. That's the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, your body's main stress management system.
So stress can make you physically warmer, making it harder to sleep.
Yes, chronic stress can definitely contribute to issues with thermoregulation and sleep initiation. It's all interconnected.
Okay, so actionable tips for temperature. Keep the bedroom cool, around 68F or 20C.
Right. And another tip from the book is taking a warm bath or shower about 90 minutes to 2 hours before bed.
That seems counterintuitive if you want to be cool.
Nah. But the warm water draws blood to the surface of your skin. When you get out, your core body temperature drops more rapidly as a result, which actually helps trigger sleepiness.
Clever. What about cold feet? That keeps me awake sometimes.
Good point. If your extremities are cold, it can paradoxically make it harder to sleep because your body is trying to conserve heat centrally. Wearing warm socks to bed can actually help improve circulation and signal to your brain that it's okay to cool down the core.
Socks in bed. Might have to try that. Okay, next up, timing. When we sleep matters, not just how long. And something about magnesium.
Yes, let's talk about money time for sleep. This generally refers to the hours between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m.
Money time, why?
Because during this specific window, your body has its peak secretions of really beneficial hormones, especially melatonin and human growth hormone, or HGH. HGH is often called the youth hormone for its role in repair and regeneration.
So if you go to bed much later, even if you sleep for 8 hours, you miss the best part.
You miss the peak production window for these crucial restorative hormones. That's why sometimes you can sleep from, say, 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. and still feel groggy, you got the quantity, but miss some of the highest quality hormonal activity.
What about that feeling around 10 p.m. where you suddenly feel more awake, the second wind?
That's a real phenomenon. As melatonin starts to rise, your body also ramps up internal metabolic energy to start the repair and rejuvenation processes. If you're already asleep, this is great. But if you're still up, you can perceive this increased energy as a second wind.
And pushing through it is bad.
Yeah, because you're basically overriding your body's natural signal to start repairing. It inhibits the process and makes it much harder to fall asleep later on, leading to more fatigue the next day.
So actionable sleep timing advice.
Aim to be in bed within a few hours of it getting dark outside. For most people, that naturally falls somewhere between 9 p.m. and 11 p.m.
And aligning with sleep cycles. I've heard about that.
Yes, sleep happens in cycles of roughly 90 minutes. Waking up at the end of a cycle during lighter sleep feels much better than being jolted awake mid-cycle during deep sleep. So try setting your alarm for 7.5 hours, 5 cycles, or 9 hours, 6 cycles after you fall asleep.
And if you absolutely have to get less sleep?
Aim for a minimum of 6 hours if possible, which is 4 full cycles. It's better than interrupting one midstream if you can help it.
Okay, now, magnesium, the anti-stress mineral. Why is it so important for sleep?
Magnesium is a powerhouse mineral. It's involved in over 300 different enzymatic reactions in your body. It's crucial for muscle relaxation, nerve function, blood sugar control, circulation, and yes, sleep regulation.
And many of us are deficient.
Estimates suggest up to 80% of the population might not be getting enough magnesium. And deficiency is strongly linked to sleep problems. It's considered a central symptom of chronic insomnia.
Wow, 80%. So how do we boost our levels? Just pop a pill.
Oral supplements can help, but digestion can actually destroy a fair amount of the magnesium, and high doses can sometimes cause digestive distress for some people.
Right.
So while eating magnesium-rich foods like leafy greens, pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds, Brazil nuts, and spirulina is always good, the book highlights topical application as often being more effective and better tolerated.
Topical, like creams or oils.
Exactly. Magnesium oils or bath flakes absorb through the skin bypass the digestive system. Applying magnesium oil to sore muscles or even just on your chest, neck, and shoulders before bed can be really effective for relaxation and boosting levels.
Interesting. Okay, let's move into the bedroom itself. Creating a sleep sanctuary and, crucially, getting the electronics out.
This is fundamental. Your bedroom should really only be for two things: sleep and intimacy. Bringing work, stress, or even just casual web browsing into bed confuses your brain.
How so?
Humans are creatures of habit and habitat. Your environment triggers associations. You want your bedroom to trigger a strong neural association with rest and relaxation, not work deadlines or social media feeds.
Makes sense. So what makes a good sanctuary beyond just keeping work out?
Think about the sensory environment. Fresh air is important. Open a window if you can, or use a fan to keep air moving. Stale air isn't restful.
What if opening a window isn't practical?
Air purifiers or humidifiers can help. Also, consider sound. The gentle sound of running water, maybe from a small tabletop fountain, can actually slow your heartbeat and breathing, promoting relaxation.
And plants. I've heard some plants are good for bedrooms.
Yes, certain houseplants can improve air quality and have calming effects. The book mentions English ivy, which NASA found is great at filtering formaldehyde. Snake plants are amazing because they absorb CO2 and actually release oxygen at night, unlike most plants. And jasmine scent has been shown to reduce anxiety and improve sleep quality.
A snake plant sounds like a perfect bedroom buddy. Now, darkness. You mentioned light sensitivity earlier, but how dark does it really need to be?
As dark as possible. Total blackout is the goal. Even tiny amounts of light from, say, a digital alarm clock or a charger light can disrupt your sleep patterns.
How? Is it just seeing the light?
Not entirely.
Yeah.
Your skin actually has photoreceptors, similar to the ones in your retinas. They can detect light even when your eyes are closed. And this light exposure, even dim light, can suppress your melatonin production by over 50%.
50%, just from a tiny LED.
Yes. And remember, melatonin isn't just for sleep onset. It's crucial for immune function, blood pressure regulation. It has anti-cancer properties. Disrupting it night after night has serious health implications. There was even a concerning study linking nightlights in children's rooms to a higher incidence of myopia or nearsightedness.
Wow. Okay, so actionable blackout tips.
Blackout curtains are a great investment. Get rid of or cover up all internal light sources. If you must have an alarm clock, choose one with a dim red display. Red light is less disruptive than blue or white, or just cover it completely. Check for light sneaking under the door or around curtains. Aim for pitch black.
Got it. And now the elephant in the room. Electronics, phones, TVs. Why are they so bad in the bedroom?
Beyond the blue light issue we already discussed, the presence of these devices impacts sleep quality directly. Studies show people with electronics in the bedroom take longer to fall asleep, spend less time in deep restorative sleep stages, and report poorer sleep quality overall.
And so many people sleep with their phones right next to them.
It's incredibly common, something like half of Americans, according to the book. Think about what happens if you check your phone first thing when you wake up, or last thing before you close your eyes. You're immediately putting other people's demands, news alerts, work emails, their priorities, ahead of your own peace of mind and focus. It sets a stressful tone for the start or end of your day.
That's a really good point. But beyond the light and the mental distraction, there's the EMF issue, right? Electromagnetic fields.
Yes, and this is a serious concern, though sometimes controversial. Electronic devices emit EMFs. The World Health Organization has actually classified cell phone radiation as a Class B carcinogen, meaning it's potentially cancer-causing.
Wow. How do EMFs affect us?
They're thought to disrupt communication between our cells. There are links, though research is ongoing and complex, between EMF exposure and issues like leukemia, brain tumors, infertility, and breast cancer. Children are considered particularly vulnerable because their skulls are thinner and their cells reproduce faster.
So keeping devices, especially phones, away from your bed while you sleep seems prudent.
Absolutely. And TVs in the bedroom, they get a special mention. They're strongly linked to disrupted sleep cycles, increased brain stress during sleep, And for kids, lower test scores, more sleep problems, and higher rates of obesity.
And for couples.
Couples with a TV in the bedroom report having sex less often. It essentially introduces a third party and distraction into an intimate space.
Okay, so the actionable tips are clear. Get an old school alarm clock. Don't use your phone. Keep the phone charging in another room overnight.
Yes. And have a conversation with your partner if needed. Talk about removing the TV, the tablets, the laptops. Reclaim the bedroom as a sanctuary for rest, recovery, and connection.
Agreed. Okay, let's tackle another big area. Weight and alcohol's impact on sleep. How does excess body fat affect sleep?
Significantly. Excess body fat puts a major strain on your internal organs and your nervous system. Crucially, it disrupts your endocrine system, the system that produces hormones, including sleep-related ones.
Like cortisol, the stress hormone.
Exactly. Research cited in the book shows that overweight individuals secrete drastically more cortisol after meals, 51% higher levels compared to just 5% for healthy weight individuals. More cortisol means more stress signals, making sleep harder.
And it relates to sleep apnea too, right?
Directly. Excess weight, particularly around the neck, is a primary cause of obstructive sleep apnea, where breathing repeatedly stops and starts during sleep. It affects millions. And while CPAP machines help manage the symptom, the book argues that addressing the root cause through fat loss is the real long-term solution.
You mentioned fat loss, not just weight loss. Why the distinction?
Because traditional calorie-restricted diets often lead to significant muscle loss, along with fat loss. Sometimes up to 70% of the weight loss can be muscle. Losing muscle actually slows down your metabolism, making long-term weight management harder. The key is hormone regulation, not just calorie counting.
Hormones like insulin and glucagon.
Precisely. Insulin is a major fat-storing hormone, and it spikes most strongly in response to carbohydrates. Glucagon, on the other hand, helps burn stored fat, and it's promoted more by protein and healthy fat intake. This is why studies often show low-carb, higher-fat diets can lead to significantly more fat loss than traditional low-fat diets.
And micronutrients matter too.
Hugely. Getting enough vitamins, minerals, and enzymes from real whole foods is essential for healthy hormone function. This includes leptin, the hormone that tells your brain you're full. Processed diet foods often lack these micronutrients. And remember, the sleep connection. Sleep deprivation decreases leptin, making you feel hungrier, increases cravings for junk food, and impairs the brain functions needed for self-control. It's a direct route to weight gain.
So nutrition tips for sleep. If you must eat close to bed,
make it a small, high-fat, low-carb snack at least 90 minutes before bed. Think nuts, seeds, maybe avocado. This helps stabilize blood sugar overnight. And for breakfast, try starting your day with protein, healthy fats, and maybe some non-starchy vegetables, rather than the typical carb-heavy cereal or toast, to set a better hormonal tone for the day.
Okay. What about alcohol? Lots of people use it as a nightcap, thinking it helps them sleep.
It's a common misconception. Alcohol is a sedative, so it might help you fall asleep faster initially. However, it significantly disrupts the quality of your sleep, particularly REM sleep.
REM is important for memory and feeling refreshed, right?
Exactly. Alcohol suppresses REM sleep, especially in the second half of the night. That's a big reason why you often feel groggy and unrested after drinking, even if you slept for a long time. The classic hangover feeling is partly due to poor sleep quality. It also relaxes the muscles in your throat, which can worsen snoring and sleep apnea.
Does it affect men and women differently?
Yes. The book notes that alcohol tends to affect women's sleep more severely. Potentially because women often metabolize alcohol faster.
So actionable alcohol advice.
Simple. Finish any alcoholic drinks at least 3 to 4 hours before your intended bedtime to give your body time to metabolize it. And if you are drinking, try to have a glass of water for every alcoholic beverage to help with hydration and processing the metabolic byproducts.
Good rule of thumb. Okay, last big topic. Ritualizing your night. Making good sleep automatic.
This is about harnessing the power of habit. Humans are creatures of routine. Our brains love patterns. A consistent bedtime ritual is basically a sequence of actions that signals to your brain, okay, it's time to wind down now. It teaches your brain to anticipate sleep.
Moving from consciously trying to sleep better to it just happening naturally.
Exactly. It's about moving from conscious competence, where you're actively thinking about all these tips, to unconscious competence, where healthy sleep habits become automated. This frees up mental energy.
So what kind of things should be in a good bedtime ritual?
Focus on relaxation. Reading fiction again, a physical book, not a screen, can help quiet the analytical part of your brain and shift focus away from stressors.
We talked about warm baths or showers earlier.
Yes, that's a great ritual component for relaxing muscles and helping with a core temperature drop. Journaling is another powerful one. Writing down racing thoughts or worries gets them out of your head. Or keeping a gratitude log can shift your focus from anxiety to appreciation, which is very calming.
Meditation or prayer, too.
Definitely. Both have proven benefits for calming that internal chatter, reducing stress hormones like cortisol, and are actually effective treatments for insomnia. Even just a few minutes of quiet reflection or deep breathing can make a difference.
So could you outline a simple evening ritual checklist someone could adapt?
Sure. It might look something like 90 minutes before bed, turn off all screens, maybe do some light stretching or take that warm bath shower, read a physical book for 20-30 minutes, brush teeth, use the bathroom, spend 5-10 minutes journaling or writing down 3 things you're grateful for, maybe 5 minutes of meditation or prayer. Then get into your cool, dark, quiet bedroom.
And the key is doing it consistently.
Absolutely. Consistency is king when forming habits. It might take a few weeks, maybe even a couple of months for it to feel truly automatic, but sticking with it is crucial. Find the elements that work for you, personalize your ritual, and then commit to it. The biggest trap is often stopping something that's working just because you start feeling better.
That's a great point. Keep doing what works.
Exactly.
Well, that wraps up our deep dive into Shawn Stevenson's Sleep Smarter. What an incredible exploration of just how fundamental sleep is. It really, truly is the secret sauce for pretty much everything, isn't it?
It underpins everything. Your body is just brilliantly designed to use sleep for restoration. And trying to cheat it, well, it never works out in the long run. It's not a shortcut to success. It's actually a roadblock.
And the empowering thing is, by understanding these principles and implementing these strategies, you genuinely have the power to transform your health, your energy, your productivity, your whole life, really.
It's not just about avoiding the negative downsides of poor sleep. It's about unlocking the incredible upside of getting truly restorative sleep, accessing your body's innate potential.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. Think about mastering your sleep not just as a way to feel less tired, but as a way to connect with the incredible intelligence of your own body. See it as perhaps the most powerful investment you can possibly make in becoming healthier, happier, and ultimately more fulfilled.
Well said. It's about unlocking your best self, night after night.